I want to ask you a question. What are you really passionate about? What really gets you excited? What floats your boat and makes you like heat up on the inside and think, gosh, I really love this. I really want that, you know? For some people it might be, you know, a new car or a pile of money, or maybe it's a piece of land or something that you've acquired. Or maybe you meet someone. Maybe you see somebody in the street and all of a sudden your imagination fires up and you think, wow, that person is awesome. That person would really understand me, or that person would be wonderful to hang out with. And what's behind that longing? And then when you think of that feeling, what is it that's going to be helping you to manage? Do we have any practice for that? Because so much of our lives is led in this space of, you know, it's out there, we got to go get it and bring it to us. We're so good at buckling down and facing challenges and, you know, just rising to the opportunity and directing our will. So ask yourself, what would it be like when that thing, that beloved, that thing you've been hoping for forever, finally arrives in your life, and you just feel like, oh my gosh, it's here, my love is there she is, or he is, or, you know, and how do you receive that gracefully so that you don't get overwhelmed by it, or you don't overwhelm the person, let us say, if it's a love interest, and chase them away because you seem to be so clingy, or, you know, you didn't express your passion enough, so they think, oh, you know, they walk off thinking that person, he wasn't attracted to me. So we want to be cool, but we really want to practice getting ready so that we can be graceful and reaching out and connecting, and then pausing. There's sort of a pacing, there's a grace, a flow between the two, which is natural and organic. I'm going to tell you today that I think that there is a way to experience that deep sense of connection to what we truly want that is authentic and real. And in fact, once you start regularly going there and connecting with it, it has a way of bringing it to us. Let's see if we can't practice just dropping down from the activity of the mind to the being level. And there we're going to experience something that is connecting us to everything that is. Animal, mineral, spirit, you know, whatever it is. But it's not taking you away. It's bringing you in to what I call the self with a capital S, which really expands and connects you to all things. And so that's where we're going, okay? That's where I think that we experience. And the way we get there is through meditation. I'm going to give you some pointers on how to meditate, some things that you can implement, okay? Also, that will help you to calm down and reach deeper and connect to the self, which then begins this journey. And each day you will feel differently, I promise you. It's like a natural shift, and you will begin to sense that all of a sudden life is happening in a much more meaningful and related way. Just do it, experience it, try it. If you don't like it, nothing's lost. If you do like it, we'll take it a step further. You know? So what I'm going to suggest here is that we come up with a practice that'll bring us in touch with that part of us that already has those things, that is already connected to the perfection and the beauty in the universe. Okay, it sounds kind of odd because you think, well, what are you talking about? I don't get it. I mean, we can't just sit here and be happy. We got to go out there and get it, or go and accomplish something. And I'm going to put that idea out there that maybe it's already here. We just are distracting ourselves with our thinking, with our willing, with our hoping, with our expecting, you know, something to change, and and then being disappointed when it doesn't. And meanwhile, we're not practicing how we would manage. All of a sudden you win the lottery, and you're like, oh my God, and this person needs help. We start spending the money, and we don't even get organized about it, and just realize, well, the money is here now. Let's see how we can, really focus on the details of it and how we're going to allocate it to the different ways. Otherwise, it just we fritter it away, and we get in more trouble and more debt than we were even before it came. So rather than the good thing turning out to be bad, if we prepare ourselves somehow to really feel that we have that good thing in us already. This is kind of a reboot on The Secret, because what I'm saying is that, yes, but it's not just because we program ourselves, or we say, I expect a check in the mail any day now, and we don't know from who or what. That's kind of pie in the sky, you know what I mean? You're not just going to get a check in the mail. However, things can work out, and work out beyond our expectation in little ways throughout the day. And then when they don't, when they sort of start going south, we can move with the movement of life, and still be within the domain of happiness, still feel the joy. Somebody's arguing with us, and all of a sudden we look at them in a different way. We look through the eyes of tenderness, or as Maya Angelou, the great poet, said, we listen with the ears of our ears. We can begin to hear the deeper, resonance, or the deeper elixir, the deeper joy, when we just appreciate that there is something here. Okay, there could be just a nothing. All of a sudden, something happens. Something is there, and it becomes like, oh, look at that. How wonderful. And then we begin to see it for the first time. So we're beginning to see with the eyes of our eyes, because we've sort of gone away and we come back. And this is a very simple thing, but it's also very profound. And I want to teach you today a little bit, just a tiny bit, of what this is and how to access it. And it's what I've found through the practice of meditation. I know meditation is, in my opinion, and I really have experienced it quite a bit, as being a dropping out of action, a dropping out of all the sort of thinkings, because thinking is an action. But we have layers and layers of thinking and believing that has been laid on us, and we identify with those layers as, I'm a man, I'm an American, I have these various hats I might be wearing. And when I drop away from those, I just sort of sift down into the being nature as opposed to the doing, nature of who I am. Then what happens is that I find this great restfulness, which is actually who I am. As I'm gonna tell you that this is the way I've experienced it. That when you drop down those layers, and you enter this space, even for like 15, 20 minutes every morning, and then you go about your day, you will experience your day differently. Okay, it's not that you'll have more peace with it, or it's as if you've taken the bunches of unedited video from the days or weeks or months before, and you pick them up and you've gone through and you edit it into a nice, neat little story or a video that is understandable. So when you meditate, you're dropping all those chatter layers of identity and connecting with the ground of being. And because it's true, it gives you a reboot. It makes life possible. Imagine life if we couldn't sleep, for instance. When you go into a sleep state, you're getting close to the state that you go to when you're in meditation, and that's why it refreshes you. That's my take on it, okay? So if we take 15, 20 minutes early in the morning, preferably before the sun, we sit down and we honor ourselves, we honor the moment and the stillness, and we do a few practices, which I'm willing to share with you. It can stop the world. It can stop all the action and make one moment of total expansion and connection. Because once you enter that and connect with that space of just beingness, you connect with everything. Okay. And so I'm going to help you set your space up, but also a couple of pointers on how to get into a deep state of meditation. And just a little bit about myself. Well, I, since a very young child, my father used to say things like, beauty is truth, truth is beauty, and that's all you really need to know. And he would quote the Greek philosophers or Shakespeare or Keats and wonderful stories, but it kindled in me a passion for what I would call depth psychology, maybe just sort of studying and becoming more in touch with the deeper meanings in things. And because I went away to school when I was 10 and never had a peer group, and then I went for 4 years to one boarding school, all boys, very austere, very difficult time, and then another 4 years to a Benedictine monastery, and that was in Rhode Island. And it was difficult, but I came away from these experiences with a sense of myself and a sense of what life meant, because it was my passion all the time. And then after college, I continued throughout the 1980s taking all kinds of workshops and self-development programs, Tony Robbins, Firewalk. I mean, I can name you probably 10 or 12 different types of seminars and intensives. And then in 1989, I, at the urging of a friend, because I was not into this at all, they said, you have to come to this ashram, and one evening, just come in, you just sit and listen. It's no big deal. You're not obliged to do anything or believe anything. So I just thought, I'm not into that. But I eventually went, and I went a couple of times, and I noticed every time I leave the place in the evening, after an evening of meditation and chanting, I felt so much better, And so then I signed up for an intensive, and it was up in upstate New York in the dead of winter. I would get up at 3:30, 3 in the morning or so, and listen to this wonderful Sanskrit chanting on the audio system, and then go into these meditation halls and experience this all weekend of chanting and meditation, and looking at videos and studying and reading and discussion groups, and I got something there that sparked me and kept me it just basically, another little bit of information. I was always passionate about learning new things, but every couple of weeks, maybe at least every month, I would go into a mini depression where I just felt so terrible, and it would last, into the night, and then I would go to sleep, and the next day I would just feel exuberant again. But after this experience of this awakening, this physical sensation that's kind of like shook me and kept, ignited this energy in me, those periods never happened again. Those periods of depression just were wiped clean and gone, And then meditation became, for me, the only show in town. And I can go into any situation and connect with people because of what I'm getting and what I've gotten and continue to get, daily through meditation. Because I connect with being, and we're all parts in the being of the self. So if you put your name and your email on this page, I'm going to send you a short digital video, and it's going to be on how to prepare your space for meditation. Okay, so I look forward to a time when our paths cross and we get to meet. So meanwhile, thank you for tuning in. I'm George Drexel.